Good afternoon from Vilamoura. This is Pedro Andrade, and we are here to see a live race for the 470 class. It's the World Championships. We're gonna start following the second race. We had the first race already finished. Just a few moments for the starting procedure. I can tell you the first race finished with the Spanish winning the race, followed by the Portuguese Costa brothers and the Greek team. The conditions right now, it's about 12 knots from 340. We can see the teams now relaxing until they start the second race. Quite nice conditions. We have here the German team. Unfortunately, they were over the line on the first race. They got an OCS, so they were disqualified for this race. This is also Olympic qualification for one spot left.
Pessoal, eu estou com... Deixa-me ver que ele está. Ele está, onde é que ele está? Mano, o encontro, o barco da Comissão de Regatas. Está ali em baixo, está um bocado longe, Carlos. Mas a gente vem andando. Está bem, eu vou aproximar. A boia de largada é esta. Ok.
Conditions in Vilamoura, perfect for sailing. 12 knots of wind. Many teams fighting for this regatta, for these World Championships. This wind conditions from 340 is coming from the land, so it's quite shifty, very challenging for the sailors. They need to be looking out of the boat all the time to make sure that they will get the next shift and make the quickest route to the next mark. We had the winners of the first race, the Spanish team, Jordi Chamar, Nicolas Rodriguez. The orange flag for the second race was hoisted at 10 past 1 local time, so we have about 5 minutes for the start. We actually see the warning signal there with the 470 flag, so it's less than 5 minutes for the start. We can see the Brazilian team, they retired from the first race, and it looks like they have a protest, so we will see what happened there. The Hungarian team here fighting for a slot for the Olympics as well. They're still not qualified, but they didn't have a very good race. The first race they finished 18th. Enrique Haddad Brazilian sailor, very talented. He did the Star Sailors League in Nassau 2 years ago, and he was one of the top teams. In the end, he didn't finish in the top 3, but the great performance from Haddad. He's here already qualified for the Olympics. Now we have Luke Patience and Christian Gruber from Great Britain. Less than 3 minutes for the start. Some teams trying to position here on the pin end. We also have images from the committee boat side of the line. It's quite good breeze in Vilamoura today. About 13-14 knots maybe. French team, Kevin Peponet and Jeremy Mion. 3 minutes for the start. Great position from our cameraman, so we can see the whole line. The boats from this angle, they are all lining up on the left side of your screen. There is the pin and boat on the right hand side of your screen, so the start will be between these two flags, orange flags. We can see the orange flag on the committee boat and Mr. PRO Nino Shmueli, making sure that the course is well set to give the sailors the best race. One minute for the start. See the Spanish team lining up in the middle of the line. This is race number 2 in Vilamoura. We have the German team here close to the committee boat. Only a few moments to the start, we can see the boats accelerating. And that's the start. Austrian team here on the windward side, having a good start. He wants to protect the right side of the course. With the wind coming from this direction, sometimes on the right hand side you have really nice right hand shifts. That's what the Austrians are trying. That's their plan, that's their strategy. You can see them from the start working really hard, pumping the boat, trying to get the best speed they can. It's very important to get off the start in a good position. Austrian team, David Barger, Lucas Meyer, tacking back to the left. They might have had a little shift to the right and they want to just keep it in the bank. You can see them crossing most of the fleet. There's one boat actually crossing. Spectacular sailing in Vilamoura. Sean Harvey, August Dale from USA, trying their luck on the right-hand side. They didn't have the best start, but they're trying to get some better breeze on the right-hand side of the course, and maybe a better shift to get them on a better position. So, looking from this angle, for those who don't understand, the boats are going upwind. They have to tack a few times to get there. They cannot go on a straight line to the top mark. So basically, the boats on the right-hand side of your screen are the ones that are leading the race. It might look like the Americans are in a good position, but they still have to tack to the left, and you can see the boats on the right-hand side of your screen pointing a lot higher than the Americans here. Looks like they don't have as much wind as the other boats in the front. Now we have another angle from the top mark. We will see the boats approaching the top mark for rounding. It looks like the Ukrainians are in a good position in the middle of the course, together with the Japanese. They fully trapezed, so they must have a good puff, good pressure. This is an Olympic qualification, and some of these countries still don't have their slot for the Olympics. So we have the fight for the World Championships, but we also have the countries that haven't qualified yet, such as Austria, Germany, Hungary, Israel, Portugal, Switzerland, Ukraine, and Russia. It's great to see all these teams back in the water after so many months, just preparing and not really racing. So it will be interesting to see who's done the best homework for all this time.
Vocês não estão a perceber uma coisa, é que a bateria da câmera está a bater no gimbal, ou seja, sempre que ela vira, bate logo e desvia-se. Percebes?
Here we are in Vilamoura, following the second race of the World Championships. This is the men racing, race number 2. We had the Spanish winning the first race from the Portuguese, the Costa brothers, and in third place the Greeks. Fantastic wind conditions here, 12, 13 knots. The teams working really hard, full trapeze. The wind is coming from the land with a few shifts, so we can see there's some different pressure on the race course, and the sailors have to be really sharp, trying to find the best pressure and the best angle to get advantage over the other teams, to obviously be ahead of them when they go around the top mark. This is the first upwind. Looks like the wind built up a little bit from the start. We can see the boats coming from the left hand side of the course on port deck with really good pressure. Might be that the left hand side of the course was the most favorable. On the previous shots we had, we saw the boats on the right hand side with not so as much wind as these guys coming from the left hand side. Vilamoura providing such great conditions for sailing. This is the World Championships, and you want the best conditions you can have, and here we go. The water is not that flat. There's a bit of choppy, so the crew has to work really hard to pump the boat, help the boat go through the waves without losing too much speed.
Posso ir? Posso andar? Ok, ok, obrigado. Okay.
We have here the Russian team also fighting for a place in the Olympics. Pavel Sozikin and Denis Gribanov. They look like they are in a good position. Let's see what happens to the boats that are to windward of them. On the further left on the race course, we see the Spanish a little bit far back. They won the first race and they're not looking that good on this second race. We see these guys have good pressure here coming from the left. We see the Swiss team. Let's see which one. Swiss 46 is Kilian Wagen, Gregor Sigart, also fighting for a slot in the Olympics. And here we have the local team, the Costa brothers. They finished second on the first race, looking good for the second race as well. So these boats are already laying the top mark. Let's see who's going around first. Looks like the Swiss team is going to lead the pack. Good first race, good first upwind, upwind leg from the Swiss team, leading the race. We're going to see them working hard here to hoist the spinnaker, to go into the reach. Not far behind the Russian team. And the Greeks, Panagiotis, Mantis, Pavlos, Kagialis, a team with a big curriculum, veterans in this class. We saw the Portuguese there, I think, rounding fourth, having a really good day after a second in the first race. Also the Greek team having a nice start. They were third in the first race, now they're lying second here. Looks like the reach is quite tight and might not be a spinnaker. We see the Swiss there struggling to keep the height, and the Greeks just delaying the hoist, trying to make a move on the Swiss. We have the other Portuguese team, the Pires brothers. We can see that the teams coming from our left-hand side of the screen, means the right-hand side of the course, looking upwind. They didn't do so well. See the Russians, they decided to hoist the spinnaker, but also struggling to keep the height. The Greeks are going for it now. Big bear away, not. Looks like they lost a little bit on this hoist. So the whole fleet's around the top mark now. And the Russians got the Greeks back after that hoist that didn't go so well for the Greeks. Panagiotis, Mantis, Pavlos, Caglialis, they are ranked number 4 in the world. They were actually bronze medalists in Rio. For sure one of the favorites to be on the medals for the next Olympics in Tokyo. We are following the World Championships here for 70 class men, race number 2. The first teams now are approaching the second mark after this reach. They're gonna go downwind, straight downwind. We're gonna see them pumping hard their spinnakers, their mainsails, trying to rock the boat, trying to get the speed to go down as many waves as possible. The 470s these days are very physical because pumping is allowed, so they can really push hard their boats. The Swiss have a good lead here. Pavel Sozikin, Denis Gribanov from Russia. There they go, pumping the boat, trying to get the waves. These nice choppy conditions in Vilamoura. Very challenging, very physical. The 470 class after this Olympics, it's not going to be men's team or women's team, is going to be mixed teams. So this is the last chance for these teams sailing together for an Olympic, to achieve their Olympic dream. Russian team still don't have a slot for the Olympics. They're trying really hard. They're second in this race now. They're fighting with the Portuguese. They were second on the first race, and they are following them in 4th place in this race. You can see how hard it is. We have to synchronize everything when you're sailing these boats downwind. It's the weight to rock the boat, pump the sail at the same time. And these teams have been working so hard through the whole year without any official racing, obviously. And now it's the moment to see who's done the best homework. The Swiss team that was leading this race from the first mark, they decided to jibe early. The Russians are pushing this side of the course at the moment. You can see that how hard it is to get the best speed on these boats. The helmsman sometimes standing up, changing course to get the best angle to the waves, pumping their mainsail. We have here now the women fleet. We saw there the Dutch team, very experienced. Lopka, Berkout as a crew, crewing for Aphrodite from Holland. Now we're back to the men's race here with the Costa brothers, local heroes, trying really hard for their Olympic dream. They were 420 world champions a few years ago, and they are now in the 470 class, trying really hard to get to this Olympics. Very aggressive sailors they are. Look at that. You need to be so synchronized as a team to rock the boat like that, pump the sails. I was talking to Diogo and Pedro Costa this morning about their expectations. They are very motivated, but they know the other teams have been working really hard as well, so we're gonna have a big fight during this week to see which of these countries will get the last slot for the Olympics. You see the Swiss with a good lead. The Russians were on the right-hand side, deciding to take this side of the course. The Swiss, they made an early jibe. Portuguese also going to the right-hand side, looking downwind. Very good job. We see the Greek team there as well, leading from the Portuguese, behind the Swiss, but in front of the Portuguese. Very experienced team, this Greek team. Panagiotis, Mantis, Pavlos, Kagialis, bronze medalists in Rio. Many good results in their career. This Greek team, they finish bronze medalists in the Worlds 2013, 2014. They haven't done better than that in the Worlds. Definitely looking for better place than that this year in Vilamoura. They're European champions in 2010. Very experienced team. Here they are on your screen. Greece, number 1. We can see a little swell, very choppy conditions, very puffy. You see some darker spots in the water. It means that some places better breeze than others, and the sailors have to be watching where is the wind is coming from, where is the best puff. At the same time, they need to rock the boat, pump the mainsail, pump the spinnaker, synchronize crew and helm. The Greeks going for a jibe there, probably laying the bottom mark. And here the Swiss team showing on your screen, doing a really good job on this race. Swiss team, Kilian Wagen, Gregor Sigwart. They were 20th in the Worlds 2 years ago. It looks like they've been working really hard. They are leading here, race number 2 for 70 World Championships, Vilamoura. Together with the Russians, all fighting for this Olympic slot. Russian team, Pavel Sozikin, Denis Gribanov. Looks like they got a bit closer to the Swiss on this downwind leg. They're choosing different marks to go around. The Swiss protecting now the right hand side of the course, taking the left hand mark. The Russians took the other mark. Let's see how it goes, if there was a favored mark on this gate. Very nice maneuver from the Swiss, very smooth. How quickly they put that spinnaker down and went straight out in the trapeze. Get that boat going. Another very experienced team here from Sweden. Anton Dahlberg, Fredrik Bergström, ranked number 3 in the world right now. It's going to be a regatta of consistency with the shifty conditions and sometimes more wind on one side of the course than the other. The sailors have to be really sharp not to get caught on an area with less wind. We see the Spanish, they won the first race, not looking so good on the second race. Here we go, back to the leaders of this race. The Swiss team protecting the right hand side of the course now. I remind you that the first upwind leg, the left side of the course was stronger. All teams came from the left. That came from the left were leading the pack in the first beats. That's very impressive. That crew pumping the boat all the time, trying to get the best speed upwind. They don't want to give away their lead. Portuguese team, the Pires brothers, they didn't do so well in the first race. For sure they want to try and improve their results for the day. English team, the team from Great Britain, Martin Wrigley, Alexander Hughes. Not looking bad in this race at all. You can see the beautiful landscape from Vilamoura. With some big cliffs, nice beaches. Hopefully the people can go back to the beach this summer, because the last summer they were quite empty, obviously. And we go with the Costa brothers now. They finished second in the first race. Fighting here with the Americans. We see the Russians on the top of your screen. Coming from the left, they took the right-hand mark. There we go. Here we are with the Swiss team again. They must improve their lead because it's hard to see the other boats at the moment. A little bit lighter now. They're going into a light patch. They have to be careful with this. Get quickly into the next puff. We saw over there. From here we can see how inconsistent the wind is sometimes. Costa Brothers here with a little bit less wind. The Americans, they were nearby and they had to tack to the left. Probably losing their lane to the Portuguese. Didn't want to have the interference from the Portuguese sails. Swiss team looking very confident on the right hand side of the course. They haven't tacked yet since they rounded the bottom mark. Still going right. Most of the teams are actually going right here, as you can see. English team checking to the left there, probably to clear the wind. A lot of interference here from the Turkish and the Portuguese. And it looks to me that the right hand side is actually it's paying, because the Russian team on the far end, they don't look that high. Now the Swiss going for the tack, put it in the bank, play safe. You never know if the wind goes back to the left and all of a sudden the Russians are leading. The Spanish team trying hard to get a few places after their win in the first race. For sure they don't want a bad result on this second race. They want to keep a good score for the day. Here we go, we can see the Swiss crossing easily the Russians. So best choice was to take that left-hand mark, go to the right-hand side looking upwind. Working hard, this Swiss team. Look at that, beautiful. Very nice technique. You can see the crew looking around, trying to find where the wind is gonna pick up. If they can stay in this puff, they are actually with good breeze now, good pressure, pulling away from the fleet with a good right-hand shift as well. Now they're attacking probably to cover the boats behind. They want to square the fleet. They want to make sure they're in between the next mark and the fleet, so there's no surprise. We are here live in Vilamoura for the 470 World Championships, and we're following the men's fleet, the men fleet. Olympic qualification as well. Some teams fighting for the World Championships, and other teams, their target is to get the slot for the Olympics. You can see here the Swedish made a good move on the right-hand side. They overtook the Russians, and they might be putting some pressure on the Swiss. If the Swiss are not laying that mark, and if they have to do a couple of tacks to get to the top mark, they might be behind the Swedish team. You can see here very good angle to this fight for the win of this race. The teams have good pressure here. Looks like the wind picked up very nicely on the right hand side of the course. Feels like the wind's going left, just slightly left here. We have the Swiss and the Swedish. For those who don't understand why, I mean that the Swiss are not that comfortable because they still have to put a tack. And depending on the angle, the Swedish could challenge the lead. We have the Russians there to leeward of the Swedish, also working hard. But the Swiss actually, they might actually be laying the mark because the Swedish, they look like they are reaching a little bit down to the mark. We will be able to see the marks in a few moments. Here Henrique Haddad and Bruno Betlen from Brazil. They retired from the first race, but they had a protest. We will find out what happened later on. Definitely the right-hand side of the course paid a lot. But some of the teams that push the right-hand side too much, if the wind goes right, they end up overstanding the mark and actually sailing extra distance. So important to keep your eyes off the boat, see where the wind is coming, see where the next puff, what's going to happen to the wind direction, if it's going to shift to the right a little bit or to the left, and you can take advantage of that. Here we go. As I said before, it looked like the Swedish made a move on the Swiss. So when the Swiss tacked, they didn't manage to cross the Swedish. And now is the Swedish team leading the pack on this second beat. Very experienced team. Anton Dahlberg, Fredrik Bergström from Sweden. They were 6th in the Olympics in Rio. They are now lying 3rd in the world ranking. Have been sailing very well. They've been training really hard here in Vilamoura for the whole winter with many other teams. Most of these teams have been based in Vilamoura for the winter to prepare themselves for the Olympic qualification, for the Olympics, the ones that were already qualified. I have information from the race committee that all the starts were clear. Nobody started over the line on all the 3 fleets. We have here 3 fleets. It's the men fleet, the women, and the mixed teams. The mixed teams will be the next Olympic discipline after Tokyo. So we're not going to have only men or only women. There will be only one class, and that will be mixed teams. So some of these youth teams already starting their campaign for 2024, the debut of this class, of this discipline here in Vilamoura for the World Championships for the first time. Some of these sailors from the men's fleet and the women's fleet will probably swap after the Olympics, find themselves a partner to put together a mixed team. Here we go, the Swedish leading the pack for the first time around the top mark for the last downwind, and then a reach to the finish. Anton and Fredrik doing a great job. They were 4th on the first race. So with a bullet on this one, they might be leading the pack overall after 2 races. The Swiss didn't have a great upwind. Probably when they did that little tack to the left to try and protect the Russians, they left the Swedish a little bit exposed on the right-hand side of the course, and that cost them the lead. With conditions like this, with some wind shifts and some gusts, sometimes the sailors have to mind the course more than the opposition, because the wind can change and all of a sudden somebody that you didn't expect is actually in front of you. Luke Patience, very experienced, from Great Britain. They went straight into a jibe on the top mark. So is the Spanish, the winners of the first race this morning. French team also going for a jibe. Kevin Peponnet and Jeremy Mion. The Costa brothers lost a little bit on this upwind leg. Very tricky conditions. They got the Germans as well. German team. Germany 13. Malte Winkel, Matti Sipra. Enrique Haddad going around the top mark with his crew Bruno Betlem. Another local team, the British brothers. We have the Japanese team coming into the top mark as well. They will host the Olympics this year in Tokyo. Not doing so well in this race, but I'm sure they want to improve their game and perform in front of their home crowd in the Olympics. Keiju Okada, Junpei Okazono. I hope I pronounced that well. Some teams here still going around the top mark, back of the fleet. Here we are in Vilamoura for the World Championships for 70 class. We see here the Swedish team, Anton Dahlberg, Fredrik Bergström, leading race number 2. Just coming downwind to the last mark rounding for the finish. They were 4th in the first race. Looking very strong today, this Swedish team. They were 3rd around the first mark rounding, and they managed to get past to pass the Swiss team and the Russian team. They were both ahead of them. Beautiful technique through that jibe. They look like they have it under control. Little view here over Quarteira and the beautiful Algarve beaches. We want to see those beaches full of people this next summer. Hopefully all safe and healthy. working hard, rocking the boat, pumping the sails, trying to get the boat to surf down these little waves the best speed possible. Very experienced sailors, this Swedish team. Double European champions in 2018 and 2019. They were also silver medalists in the Worlds in 2017 and bronze in 2019. I'm sure they'll be looking for their first world title in the 470 class. You can see they're trying to get the speed, and then they turn the boat down to surf the wave, get the best VMG as possible. These sea conditions here in Vilamoura offers the sailors a good opportunity to take advantage of their technique. If they work hard, they go faster. There they go for a jibe. They look really confident. They were waving the camera boat. They haven't finished yet.
Espetacular, né? Vai passar a boia, vai passar a boia.
Just about to go around the bottom mark and go on a small reach to the finish. Everything under control. You can see underwater that the conditions are tricky with some puffs and some wind shifts. Here they are, winning the race, winning the race number 2. Now with a fourth in the first race and the first in the second race. 5 points. That will probably be enough to be in the lead of the regatta so far. First day, going through the finishing line, and it's a win. Race number 2 for the Swedish team. Well done. Anton and Frederick, veteran team in this 470 class. We have here an American team, Sean Harvey, August Dale. Not with the best result here in this race number 2. Now we can see the finish. Very close finish between the Russians and the Swiss. Getting some messages here from people watching this World Championships in Vilamoura live. Thank you, Hillis, for your message. Swiss team 3rd place in race number 2. They were 5th in race number 1, so they're now with 8 points. The Russians, they finished 2nd in this race, and they were 6th in the race number 1, so they're also 8 points. Swiss and Russia's teams with the same points, 8 points. Obviously this is all provisional. We still have to go through the results with the race committee. But according to my notes, this could be the top 3 teams overall so far. We also have the Greek and the Portuguese that they were not doing so bad in the second race. Portuguese were 2nd in the first race, and the Greek were 3rd. You see here Luke Patience and Christian, they finished race number 2. I will have a confirmation on the results. So far I can give you the results of race number 1. So first place was Spain 44. And second place Portugal 21, followed by the Greeks. Greece number 1, the Swiss 46 in 5th place, and Russia 5 on 6th place. And now we are going to get some results from race number 2. This is Pedro standing by. We're gonna go for a short break. Thank you very much. Welcome back to Vilamoura for the World Championships for 70 class. We've finished 2 races and we are back in action for race number 3 for the women division. The wind has dropped a little bit after race number 2, but we're ready to go. We are less than 4 minutes for the start now. I'm sorry for this small delay due to some technical problems, but we are back. Conditions are still good for racing. We have now race number 3. I can tell you that provisional results so far after race number 2. The French team is leading with 3 points. They won the first race. They were second in the second race. Camille Lecointre, Alois Retornaz. In second place overall for the moment, the Spanish team, young team, Silvia Mas de Pares, Patricia Cantero Reina. They had 5th place and they won the second race. So they're now lying second overall. In third place we have the Israeli team, Noya Baram Shahar Tibi. They were 3rd in the first race and 7th on the second race of the day. Lying 4th overall now with the 8th place in the first race. It's Lopka, Aphrodite and Lopka.
Okay.
We are less than a minute to go. We can see the wind has dropped a little bit. It's quite light at the moment. Most of the teams are fighting for the pin end. On this starting line we can see the committee boat here.
Eles vão largar todos do pino, cara. Eles vão largar todos do pino.
Just a few seconds for the start.
Eles vão largar todos do pino.
This is the start. We can see most of the team starting at the pin end. Anna Mills took the less advantage side of the line here on the right hand side, probably looking for the right hand side of the course. She might see something on the right hand side, maybe a right hand shift or better pressure. She took this side of the line and tacked immediately. We can see they're working hard, the crew not even hooked on the trapeze, just trying to pump the boat to get the best speed. Anna Mills sailing with Ailey McIntyre, world rank number 1, world champions. You can see most of the teams actually tack to the right after the start. Great Britain team not looking great here on the right hand side. Also the Brazilians, Fernando Oliveira sailing with Ana Barbachan, former bronze medalist. This is the World Championships for the 470 class in Vilamoura. Also Olympic qualifying for some countries that haven't qualified yet. Last chance to get a slot for the Olympics. We will have to stop transmitting for a few moments for technical problems. We will be right back. Thank you. Welcome back to Vilamoura. I'm sorry about this delay. We faced a few technical problems, but we are now streaming and watching race number 3 for the women division.
Okay.
We have on our screen the German team, Louise Wanzer, Anastasia Winkel, looking in a pretty good position. We will try to figure out how the fleet is spread through the race course. But at the start, it looked like there was a good bias on the pin end. Most teams starting at the pin and tacking straight after to the right hand side of the course. The wind looks like it picked up a little bit again. You can see the German team tacking now. They looked to be the furthest right team at the moment on the race course. Now we can have a better visual on the fleet. They could be leading the pack here. We see some more teams on the left. Germany 69 on race number 1. They finished 22nd and now they're leading. Breeze is up a little bit. Nice conditions, nice and choppy in Vilamoura. Germans stacking now to cover the fleet. They must be about halfway up the beat. See that crew working hard on the trapeze, trying to pump that boat to go fast upwind. They seem to have a nice lead actually here. We're having some difficulties filming here. Nice shot from the German team working hard upwind. Breeze is up. We are facing many difficulties here on the stream due to a backed connection. Hopefully we will be able to keep showing these images. We do apologize for that. Our team is doing our best to give you the best coverage of this race here. Right now we have a really good shot on the German team leading the pack on this race number 3. Look how hard that crew is working. Wow. 470 has become so physical these days. Now that you are allowed to pump and to rock the boat, they're just about to go around the top mark. Germany 69. Louise Wanzer, Anastasia Winkel. You can see that smile on Louise's face, leading the pack, quite a big lead. She must have had a nice puff upwind to sail away from the pack. It seems that it was a clear start. I will confirm that in a minute. Another team just about to go around the top mark, another German team. Germany 24, Nadine Boehm and Christine Golias. Anna Mills going through your screen. She started at the committee boat. Less favorable side of the starting line. She wanted to go to the right immediately, try and get some pressure from the right or some shift from the right. It didn't work as planned. The Germans got away. Our cameraman going around the fleet to try and get closer to the lead boats. That's a big lead from the German team. Shortly we're gonna see the rest of the fleet as well, try to understand who's following the Germans. We can see it's very shifty, very puffy here in Vilamoura at the moment. You can see on the top of your screen the men's fleet going upwind, probably on the second beat on the outer course, outer loop. Let's see here. It looks like the Italians are second. Benedetta Di Sale, Alessandra Dubini. Followed by Germany 24 and Switzerland. We can see the boats behind with a little bit better pressure than the Germans. Just now probably shortening that lead. It's very important to keep your eyes off the boat, keep looking at the next puff, the next shift. Try to get an advantage, try to overtake a few boats. And obviously if you're ahead, make sure that you don't lose too much if you fall into a hole with less wind. It seems that it's a left-hand shift at the moment. All boats on port, going downwind. Nobody went for a jibe. For those who don't understand all this technical information, the sailors always trying to get the better angle on the race course according to the wind shift. So if there's a left-hand shift going downwind, they will be on port. You can see that the Italians having a nice puff there, surfing some waves, pulling away from the boats coming behind. Still a big lead to the Germans. Look at that. They must have had a really nice shift on the first upwind leg, or a nice puff. Managed to sail away from the fleet. Totally under control here. But with tricky conditions like this, you cannot take it for granted. You have to pay attention on the boats behind, make sure you keep on the good pressure, on the good shift. Here we go for another angle, looking towards the fleet from behind. see the Dutch team and the American team here trying hard on this side of the course. Haven't jibed yet onto port. Sorry, they were all on starboard. My mistake. Now some teams jibing here on the ley line. You can see the Spanish and the Polish. The Spanish were second overall after 2 races. It seems like the Germans, they got away, but the rest of the fleet looks quite compact. Germans already around the bottom mark for the second upwind on this race number 3. You can see the German team now in control. They're looking back to see where their opponents are coming, what they're doing, if they're taking the left-hand side or the right-hand side of the course. Make sure that they place themselves on the race course so they don't have any problems, that they go for attack. Nice technique, really good. Breeze picking up a little bit again. Very physical conditions with the wind, a bit unstable, sometimes a bit lighter, and they have to keep pumping the boat to keep the speed. Now they have a little bit better pressure. Actually, it's more physical when the wind drops because they really have to work to get the speed on the boat. Once the pressure gets in, then they can just lean out, let the wind do the job. Here we are back into the leeward gate. Few teams going around the bottom mark. We see the French team there leading this pack here onto the right hand side of the course. They were leading after 2 races. Camille Lecontre, Aloise Retornaz. A lot of Turkish teams here going around the mark at the same time. You can see it quite light on that right hand mark, left shift. They go straight into attack, protect the right hand side of the course. German team still looking comfortable on the lead. Louise and Anastasia always keeping an eye on the rest of the fleet. But they look comfortable, they look confident. You can see the landscape here, beautiful beach of Vilamoura. Hopefully we will get a lot of people during the summer enjoying our nice Portuguese weather. All the teams going upwind now for the second time. So this course, the women are doing it's one upwind leg to the top mark, then a downwind leg, then through a gate, again upwind to the top mark, then a reach, a downwind, and then a small reach to the finish. They're doing the inner loop, what we call the inner loop. The men were doing the outer loop, and I believe the mixed teams also doing the outer loop at the moment. We have here the Swedes, Sweden 34, Olivia Bergström, Lovisa Carlsson. They finished 4th in the first race, but they didn't have such a great second race, finishing 18 and now with 22 points. Not looking great on this third race. Also, here we have Benedetta Di Sale, Alessandra Dubini, Italian team. Not a great first race. 21st on the first race. The wind is getting very light here. She has to work hard to keep that boat moving. This women fleet has some very experienced sailors. We have Anna Mills is leading the world rankings. She was gold in Rio and silver in London. She won the worlds in 2019 and 2012. Very good record. Also, the most experienced crew members in this fleet. We have Lopka Berkhout and Emilia Tsufla from Greece, Lopka from Holland. An amazing record. She had a silver medal in 2008 and a bronze in 2012, but she won the worlds 5 times. With Marceline de Koning. And then with Lisa Westerhoff, now she's sailing with Aphrodite, trying to get some nice results like the old days. Emilia Tsufla was also a great crew. She's 48, amazing how she can still race the 470 in a high level. She was gold in 2004. She won the worlds a few times in the Europeans. With Sofia Bekatourou at that time. Emilia Tsufla now is sailing with Arian Paraskevi Spanaki. I hope I spelled that right. We can see here a little bit the front of the fleet. Germany 24, not looking bad there. Nadine Boehm, Anne-Christine Golias. Probably still the other German team leading the pack, Louise and Anastasia. Germany 69. There they are. Getting close to the top mark for the second time. Now they're gonna bear away, second bear away on that mark, going to the reach. Not that far to go on this race. Still very comfortable lead here. There they go for another tag. Nice technique, nice and smooth. They look confident. They're in control. It doesn't look like they're gonna let this bullet escape from them. As I said, yeah, Germany 24 going around second in race number 3. The German teams dominating this race. Very tricky conditions. We can see sometimes the crew lying on the trapeze, but sometimes also when the wind gets lighter, they have to go into the boat and try to pump. So Italy 74, third around the top mark, Benedetta Alessandra. After a bad first race, they're looking good here. Swiss number 5, Linda and Maja, fourth around the top mark. Looks like a few boats approaching the top mark now, all the top 4. A little bit of a lead over the rest of the fleet. Looks like Italy 6 will be the next boat, Elena and Bianca. Followed by Argentina 18, Belen and Lourdes. And Poland 11, that's Agnieszka and Jolanta. We haven't seen the French or the English yet, or the Spanish. There they are. The Spanish team, Silvia Mas, De Pares and Patricia Cantero Reina. The second in the world rankings right now. They won the second race. The Spanish team won the second race. Now they're about 7 on this third race. You can see the French team now coming into the top mark. I haven't counted, but it looks like about 12. Now after first and a second on the first 2 races, they might still keep the lead, but will be tight. Spanish are ahead of them, so the Spanish might take the lead after race number 3. These are our leaders of race number 3. Germany 69, Louise Anastasia. They pulled away straight after the start. They increased their lead. They sailed very comfortably. They look very much in control. Very shifty conditions here, very challenging for the sailors. They really need to keep their eyes off the boat and keep pushing it to the limit. It looks like it's a very tight reach to the next mark. Really trying hard to sail with the spinnaker up. You can see they're flapping their mainsails to try and keep the height to make that mark. One of the boats to leeward, they're gonna struggle to get to that that mark. With shifty and gusty conditions, sometimes they hoist the spinnaker thinking they can easily lay, and then all of a sudden they can't. This mark is not part of the course. They are going on a reach and then downwind to the next mark, and then a small reach to the finish. We apologize for the delays on the streaming, and very hard to get a good connection here. But we can see the teams working hard on the reach here. The Ukrainian and the Dutch team fighting for position, for a point. Every point is going to count in the end of the week. They look happy, the Germans. Louise with a smile on her face, looking back at the fleet, totally under control. We can see it a little bit lighter here. Some of the teams that were on that reach had much better pressure. So the Germans probably jibing to make sure they position themselves on the race course, not to have any surprises, not to see any teams using a puff to try and sail past them. Most of the teams here on the women's division are qualified for the Olympics. Still 3 countries that are fighting for a slot. That will be Russia, Turkey and Ukraine. They still need to find their passport for Tokyo. See most of the fleet here on the reach, still on the reach. The Germans were already on their downwind leg, the big lead. I believe 3 boats already gone through this mark for the next leg, for the downwind leg. Italy 6, Elena and Bianca, not on a bad position here, followed by the Polish, Agnieszka and Jolanta. We have here the leader overall, or could be the leader of the overall after this race, as they are a few places ahead of the French. There they are, Camille. Camille and Alois not having the best race after a first and a second on the first 2 races, with only 3 points. Anna Mills also a little bit further back in the pack. Hannah finished second in the first race, but had a shocking second race with the 21st. She needs to get some points on this downwind. Lopka with her skipper Aphrodite straight into a jibe here, fighting hard to get some places back. They are not looking great on this race. But you never know, with shifty conditions, anything can happen. Another team deciding to go straight for a jibe. This is Greece, number 7, former Olympic gold medalist Emilia Tsufla, skippered by Ariane Paraskevi. Emilia is 48 years old, sailing with Ariane, who's 20 years old, chasing another Olympic dream. Emilia is a very experienced sailor. The wind here has this tendency to drop a little bit at this time of the day, but still great conditions, challenging for the sailors. They really have to work hard. It's a bit choppy, so they need to pump their sails, synchronize pumping between the crew and the helm with the mainsail and the spinnaker, and also moving the weight on the boat to make sure that the rocking gets the boat to go down these choppy conditions. Try to get every little wave for acceleration. Very good technique. Well done, girls. They are now reaching for the finish. They just went around the bottom gate. Just about to finish race number 3. It's Germany 69 leading the pack. Louise Vanzer, Anastasia Winkel winning race number 3. They will be happy after that, I'm sure. A long day here in Vilamoura with 3 races. There she goes through the finish. And it's a win for Germany 69, Louise and Anastasia. Big lead on this race number 3. From Germany 24, following them, we will see if they manage to keep that second place. Oops, almost damaged the spinnaker there on the spinnaker pole hook. She managed to save that. Now they will have a look at that smile. Nice German smile. Rest of the girls coming on the reach now to the finish as well. That's Germany 24, second in race number 3. Nadine Boehm and Christine Goliath. I will apologize to the athletes if I'm not spelling their names correctly, but there they are, finished second in the race. So it's 1 and 2 for Germany on race number 3.
Oh, ainda estou a vivo ainda.
They really sailed away from the fleet. We can see the pack in further back are more compact. So this was Italy 74. I believe they finished third in this race. Most of the fleet going around that bottom mark, very close together. Italy 6, number 4 on race 3. So it's Germany, Germany, Italy and Italy, the top 4 places on race number 3. They must be happy with that. I believe the result of this race number 3 will mix the overall as well, as the leaders from the overall after 2 races are not in the front of the fleet. The Spanish just about to cross the line. I think they picked up a few places. A little bit of a photo finish here between the Russians, Argentina, USA and France. Camille behind that little pack there. There was 4 points there. And Emil's also across the finish line. Looks like it was a very tricky race, this race number 3. And that's it for the day. Thank you all for watching. We will be back tomorrow for more action from Vilamoura, the 470 World Championships live on the YouTube channel from Vilamoura Sailing. We will have another race tomorrow, and we hope to see you all back here and watching this great event. Thank you all very much for watching. See you tomorrow. Bye bye.